Welcome to the design guide for the new HTML wallpaper or Rails unit. We're looking at a preview right now of this ad, and basically it's designed to, for most sites, take over both the right-hand margin and left-hand margin of blank space that's typically available on most browser resolutions when viewing a website. Basically what you have is your core content like this of your site in the middle, and then if the user's browser has additional space on either side, which most desktops are going to provide, you can basically use that for advertising space on the left and the right. Now, as we have this configured right here, you'll see that these rails are actually fixed. So as the user scrolls up and down and reads content on the page, the one image or two images that you upload here are always going to remain basically scrolling up and down with the page, while the content can actually move in the middle. And this is the most typical use case scenario for the ad. You can also swap it out so that it basically stays fixed, and you would actually start scrolling the image as well when you move up and down. It's an option, but most people are going to want to choose to just build one image that stays fixed. So I'm going to start by talking about best practices for actually designing this image. This is basically just one image, one large image that's living behind your website and taking over the background HTML. As I mentioned, most sites are opaque in the middle, so you're not going to see anything back here anyway. But if this happens to be transparent, the HTML of your website is transparent, you can actually have things visible behind the different containers in your site. It really just depends on how your site's configured. But again, the most typical scenario is you're just designing for the left and right hand margins of your website. So how do we do that? Easiest thing to do is just open up your website and then take a screen grab of the whole page. So just typically on a Mac or PC, they're going to have function then in there where you can do a screen grab. Once you've done that, go ahead and open up Photoshop or your photo editing tool, and I'm going to go ahead and open our screen grab here. And get it, so this, for instance, like a screenshot like this. And all you're really trying to do here is basically crop this down so we can see the right and left hand margins disappear. So I'm just going to crop this down, and then I think I have to go a little farther, another pixel or so over here to crop. And so what you're left with is just the content area of your website here in this image. And now what I'm going to do is just take a quick look at the image size, and I can see here my width of the actual content of my page would be, in this case, 990 pixels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer, and I'll go ahead and duplicate this one and delete it. So what I have is a layer in the background now that's transparent, and now I'm going to increase my canvas size in pixels. So right now it's 990, and typically you're going to want to do anywhere from about 1 to 300 pixels, maybe about 200 is a good median of what people will typically be seeing on a standard desktop browser resolution. So I'm going to increase the width of this 200 pixels on the left and on the right, so for a total of 400 pixels. So I'll change this from 990 to 1390, and now I've got a basically my design palette here for what I'm going to be able to design into. So really what we're saying here is this area here on the left, and you can basically match this up perfectly. This is where you're going to be designing your content in here. So whatever your images are, etc., are going to go in both this box, and I'll draw another one over here, and also into this area. And you know, oftentimes these will mirror one another. They could be the exact same content, depends on what you're looking to do. So this is your area for designing. Once you've created your images to the left and right, best practice is say get rid of that middle image just to reduce the file size. Leave this as transparent in the background, and then you're just going to save this full image here that's 1390 pixels wide, maybe about 1,000 pixels tall, and you'll save that out as a PNG or a GIF. Typically GIFs can be pretty light. lightweight. That way it's not going to slow down the loading of your page in any way. And that's going to be your final image that you upload into your account. So we'll jump back over here now to our Impact Engine account. And once you've uploaded that image, you'll see Step 1 Media just has one wallpaper image, JPEG, PNG, or GIF, any size you like. When you preview this, obviously we don't have your website content. So let me come back here and show you what it's going to look like when you actually upload your content here. You're just going to see the ad appear or your image appear on a blank background. So when you preview it, obviously we don't have your website plugged into our builder, so you're just going to see your image just like this with a blank space in the middle that ideally you've designed to be the exact width of your content. So this is basically a way to see, okay, there's my left and right rail, and the next thing I'm going to do is basically close this out and come down here to Step 2 Colors. This is basically just your hit area. You can again configure this to be anything you like. This is going to be able to show us where our hit areas live. Click-through URLs, you can have up to 4, but basically what we're doing is we're going to design a click-through to live on top of the left rail and a second one to live on top of the right rail. And this works just like all our other ads. If you wanted to add a third and fourth, you could, but obviously not something you have to do. Next up, you've got your custom settings. So we have our Activate Custom Hit Area 1. You're almost always going to set this to yes, and you're going to set this to the height and width, whether it's 200 by 1000, 195 in this case, is what I have in here. And then you're going to deal with your X and Y offset. Now the thing to remember is these are always centered. So these are designed for center justified websites. You're looking at an ad that anytime you preview this image, it's centering on the center line of this expanded browser window. So when we're playing with the custom hit areas, these are going to be offset from the center line of the page. So by that, we're saying the first one that's 1000 by 195 pixels tall, we are going to basically make the custom hit area offset for this 500 pixels to the right and 0 pixels down from the top. So that's going to bump it 500 pixels, the hit area, all the way over to live on top. And I'm going to start by coming down here and turning on our test mode. And so now we see our test mode hit area 1 has been positioned on top of this unit over here, and it looks like we didn't make it quite wide enough, so we're going to make the hit area a little bit wider. So we'll come down here and make the hit area itself, instead of 195, we'll make it 205, and that should make the hit area just wide enough to fit our image. Looks like we would have to add a few more pixels in this case, but good enough for the purposes of the demo. Now for the second hit area, we're going to go ahead and activate hit area number 2 as well. That's going to be, we have that again, 205 by 1000 pixels. And to get it to move to the left, we're going to put a negative number in here. So anytime you put negative numbers, it's going to bump the image to the left horizontally. And if you put a negative number here, it would actually bump the image up. So the reason this is a bigger offset, this is 500, we have this to 695, is because you need to also take into account both of these images are aligned to the center, but they're aligned to the center with the image's left edge aligned to center. So both of them are starting out a little bit to the right of center. So you need to account for both the distance to the left as well as the width of the ad here. So if we need to move it 200 and, excuse me, what's our first one? 500 pixels offset, so we'll add 200 more here and make it 700 total. And that's going to now, when we preview this, bump this second hit area all the way over here on top. And again, you can fine tune that and adjust that in a matter of pixels here. So you could activate a custom hit area 3 and 4, typically not needed for this ad. And the last variable down here is use fixed position for wallpaper image. What that does when you set this to yes, when you scroll up and down on the page here, on the left and right, this image is going to remain fixed and always staying in the middle while your content scrolls. If you turn this off, if you set this to no, don't use fixed position for wallpaper, basically the image will scroll along with, or basically down your website. It means you have to build a much bigger image to accommodate the entire length of your website. Not typically something you're going to do, so we suggest leaving this as yes. So that is it for the design guide here. As always, if you have questions, call us at 866-467-2289.